Welcome back to Wrestletips. I'm your host Josh Wall, and in this episode we're going to be talking about the necessity of making your very own moveset. A moveset is a group of moves that a wrestler commonly uses almost every single match. It can consist of about 1 to 2 finishers, 2 to 3 signatures, maybe more, maybe less, depending on the wrestler in question. These moves should be your first stop when you're planning your match, as they're either the moves the crowd do want to see if you're a face, or they don't want to see if you're a heel. It also makes more sense when it comes to match psychology, as your character knows every way in and out of your own signature moves, so therefore you'd go for them over anything else. Finishers, obviously, tend to be the ends to a match, or something that you try to build to become the end of your match. Earlier on in the match, if you plan spots where you're attempting to hit your finisher, then it builds up the crowd and they're anticipating what's going to come next, or whether you're actually going to be able to hit that move or lock in that hold. Let's take The Undertaker for example. He's got plenty of signature moves: Snake Eyes, Big Boot, Old School, and plenty of others. These are the moves that are going to get the biggest pop from the crowd when he actually uses them, so he fits them in strategic places in the match. He also has plenty of finishing moves, such as the Choke Slam, Last Ride, Tombstone, and even the Hell's Gate that he brought in the last couple of years. All these moves attack the head and the neck area, so it makes sense as to why he'd use them all in succession instead of just random moves. Now, Undertaker has more finishing moves than the typical wrestler, but he's been around for a long time and he's built them up so that they mean something. Try to avoid having high impact signature moves, as these are the ones that are going to be going throughout the match and you don't want to be hitting power bombs in the first 5 minutes of the match. Use strikes, combos, and even low impact interesting moves as your signatures, as these are the things the crowd are either going to want to see or not want to see, depending on what your aim is. And while it may seem obvious, use things that make sense for you to use. If you're a tiny skinny little wrestler and you're against another skinny little wrestler, then don't start using gorilla press slams and stuff just because you can, because it doesn't make sense, and when the bigger guys do it later on, it will just ruin the effect of their match because they won't look as big as they're supposed to be, and at the end of the day you're all building towards making one successful show together. I've been told personally, while working as a heel, to tone down my moveset because apparently it's too flashy and therefore it will get a pop from the crowd. That is not necessarily a bad thing. As you're seeing now on your screen, there's a move that I got inspired to use by a wrestler called Prince Devitt, who now tours around Japan, and I used that and somebody told me that it was too flashy for a heel. At the end of the day, just because you're a heel doesn't mean you have to be boring, so you have to find that middle ground between being too flashy and just being plain boring to the crowd. This is just one of many parts of the unique selling points section that we started on our last video, and there are many more to come, so don't forget to check out the following few videos as they all interlink together to help make you a better wrestler and more appealing to bookers and crowd members. Unfortunately, that is all we have time for on this episode of Wrestletips, but please like, comment, subscribe to all these videos and we'll get the next one out to you as soon as possible. So we will see you next time on Wrestletips.